It's the year 2011. Kendrick Lamar is standing on the same stage alongside The Game, Kurupt, and Snoop Dogg, where the latter says that they are passing on to him the West Coast rap torch, after which Kendrick was unable to hold back his tears. Even though 2 years prior, he gathered 300 people. However, for such a short period of time, he managed to achieve a surprising result, one where all of the legends of the West Coast proclaim that you are the coast's new king. In this video, we will talk about Kendrick Lamar's story, and more specifically, how he became one of the greatest modern-day rappers, thanks to his incredible skills in storytelling, which impress even those he grew up listening to.
Because he is such a chameleon of styles, and he can do pretty much anything, right? And he's so proficient at it, he's so good at it, and you don't know what you're gonna get. That to me is like a top tier lyricist, because it's like you can get your ass kicked any day.
Got royalty inside my DNA. Cocaine quarter piece, got war and peace inside my DNA.
Before we continue, I want you all to check out the affordable earbuds Raycon. What I like about them is just how comfortable they are. I really like the blush violet, so I wear these exact ones. Check out the beautiful cases that are available for them as well. Raycon's earbuds have many great features to accommodate different needs. When you put them on, you can be sure that they won't fall out. I often run in them.
And when I run, I don't want to be distracted by unnecessary sounds. And Raycon's earbuds have great noise cancellation for that exact purpose. The earbuds have a variety of modes, great for listening in different settings. For hip-hop fans, the bass sound mode suits them well. For listening to audiobooks and podcasts, I recommend the pure sound setting. However, for most of the time, the regular balanced sound works great. I am also pleasantly surprised by the battery life. The battery lasts for 8 hours of active usage, while the case can hold up to an additional 32 hours, which means you can use them for 3 days without recharging the case. The sound is clean, clear, and comes with the noise canceling feature that can be adjusted to your preference. Don't just take my word for it. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/musicvibe to get 15% off and see for yourself. As you all know, Kendrick comes from the dangerous city of Compton, where his entire family consisted of gang members. However, his family's gang affiliations stretched back even before they moved to Compton from Chicago in 1984, 3 years before he was born. Kendrick's father, Kenny Duckworth, was raised in Robert Taylor Homes, a public housing project on the south side of Chicago that was notorious for its gang violence and poverty. During the 1970s, rival gang members would throw objects from the top floor of the buildings, intending to hit their rivals, but frequently striking children. And at one point, 95% of its residents were unemployed. Kendrick's mom, Paula Oliver, was fed up with all the gang activity. She told him that she could not be with him if nothing changes. They stuffed their clothes into 2 black garbage bags and boarded a train to California with $500. They were headed to San Bernardino. However, Kendrick's aunt, Tina, rented them a motel room in Compton until they got on their feet. For the first couple of years, Paula and Kenny slept in their car or motels or in the park when it was hot enough, both working a series of disposable jobs at fast food joints. Though they had fled Chicago so that Kenny could escape the gangs, that lifestyle found the family again in Compton. Kenny started dabbling in street life again. Kenny also worked in KFC, and it was there that he was nearly killed. But we'll get to that just a little later. Anyway, they nevertheless were unable to save enough money for a place to stay. And on the 17th of June, 1987, Kendrick Lamar Duckworth came into the world. When his parents drove him home from the hospital, his father played a track from the legendary old-school rapper Big Daddy Kane. Paula then told Kenny to cut that music down, that's too loud. And he responded to her saying, "Don't worry about it. He gonna be listening to this music when we get home, when he grow up, and forever." And that's exactly what happened. Kendrick began listening to hip-hop from an early age. He remembers how he was watching Eazy-E's We Want Easy music video at the age of 4.
Yeah, Cause this is the way I know you like it, so you won't strike it. I took it and I hyped it.
Then after that, it would be Snoop Dogg's Nothing But a Jeep thing.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door.
Since Kendrick grew up in Compton, then it is understandable that he couldn't have a happy and normal childhood. He witnessed his first murder when he was 5 years old, when a young drug dealer at the time shot a guy near the Lamar family's house. While growing up, people close to him partied every Friday, so he was surrounded by alcohol and illegal substances. Despite all of the bad things that surrounded him at the time, Kendrick often speaks about the positive moments of his childhood, from riding on his bike to flips from rooftops. His father would also take him to the Compton swap meet at North Long Beach Boulevard and Orchard. He used to buy his first cassette tapes there. At that place, it was possible to meet Suge Knight and the other stars. At the age of 9, he saw Tupac and Dr. Dre with his own eyes while they were filming the music video for California Love.
I remember being on my father's shoulders and just really watching Tupac yelling at the police because they were about to scratch the side of his car on their motorcycle bikes. I remember all that.
Just a few months later, Tupac would be killed in Las Vegas. Kendrick knew the things he was saying would eventually be carried on through someone else, but Kendrick was too young to know that he would be the one doing it. When Tupac was here and I saw him as a 9-year-old, I think that was the birth of what I'm doing today, said Kendrick.
Lord, I lost so many pigs and shed so many tears.
Kendrick quickly immersed himself in hip-hop culture. When Pac died, he gravitated to DMX. Like Pac, DMX was a supremely conflicted character, with songs that threaded the line between hard-scrabble machismo and stark vulnerability. As Kendrick says, X's album, under the name of It's Dark and Hell is Hot, got him writing. That album inspired him to be a rapper.
Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop.
I was just in the room just saying a bunch of gibberish, you know. Oh man, I think I probably killed about 30 people in like 2 bars. I done sold this amount of dope and like the hook. Oh yeah, I was on the dock with Poppy, you feel me?
When Kendrick was in 7th grade, he had English class, and a teacher by the name of Mr. Inga gave him poetry assignments. And there was one particular homework assignment that he did not do. He showed up and wrote a poem in 10 minutes right before class. All of his classmates got D's or C's, but he got an A. From that moment onwards, he understood that he has a gift of putting words together and expressing his inspiration on paper. To Kendrick's parents' surprise, the hobby quickly grew into a passion. His dad thought that all of these papers were homework, but he didn't even have an inkling of suspicion that he was writing song lyrics. In turn, when his mom found these texts, she was shocked that Kendrick swears. Soon, Kendrick began attending Centennial High School. The school is firmly considered blood territory, with a graduation rate lower than 60%. Federal government guidelines for high school graduation rates dictate that all schools should be at 83%. But it's also a school with some notable alumni, including the legendary G-Funk producer DJ Quick, and most significantly, Dr. Dre. It was here, in 2003, that Kendrick met Dave Free, who would go on to be Kendrick's manager and president of Dawg Entertainment. They knew each other since 10th grade. Free was a local DJ at school and set up rap battles during lunchtime, while his friend Antonio was one of the best rappers in the school, and he told Free that he knows a friend who was the wildest. They were talking specifically about Kendrick. Free set up an impromptu studio at his house, and Kendrick coined the phrase, "ship keys like a grand piano." This seriously impressed Free. They would cover their microphone with a sock and did a lot of freestyling with it.
I'm wise like my pops, but I'm young mother. I'm the one mother. Plus around hustlers. You want it? They can serve you like a butler.
Kendrick's first debut mixtape was Hub City Threat, Minor of the Year, under the pseudonym M.A.A.d.
Back against the wall, K-Dot, they trying to pin, but they can't with that pin.
Hub City Threat helped him land a deal with then local rap label Dawg Entertainment, when he was 16. In 2004, this label was founded by Anthony Tiffith. He happens to be top dog, who grew up during the time of gang shit. Many of his friends were killed, others sat behind bars, and he got shot. So he wanted to put an end to these things. He knew J-Rock, who lived nearby. Dawg was chasing him around, and he was hiding, thinking he was trying to discipline him about something. However, he finally caught him and said, "Yo, you rap, I'm trying to do this shit, let's go," said Dawg. And after that, J-Rock became the first signing of his newly founded label, while the second was Kendrick, after Day Free exposed Dawg to Lamar's music. In the near future, a group called Black Hippie would be founded, and it would include J-Rock, Ab-Soul, Schoolboy Q, and Kendrick himself. K-Dot's first concert was held in 2006 with The Game and J-Rock. He'd never been to a concert before the first night he took the stage himself. In 2007, he released a second mixtape, Training Day, which was named after a movie which carries the same name. A couple of years later, the third mixtape was released under the name of C4. However, these CDs did not gain much popularity amongst listeners.
What's your wackest song?
My wackest song. My wackest song. Y'all probably can look it up on YouTube too.
Oh, really? Oh!
Oh my God.
It's called I'm in the club.
What?
I know
Chuck.
What?
I'm in the club with the homies. Tell me what's good.
I just know the level of reach that I was doing when I wrote the record.
In general, these mixtapes by Kendrick were labeled as boot camp because, at the time, he only learned to put words together, freestyles and bars.
Got it from them Compton blocks, raised for my grandpops. Every day caught a fade like we on the barber shop. Goons in the parking lot.
Which is why he decided to create his own unique rebranding. After all, K-Dot is a person who is trying to find his own niche. He takes bits of style from his idols and raps. So he understood that he wanted to move forward. He asked Top Dawg what he thinks about changing his pseudonym from K-Dot to Kendrick Lamar, and the latter said, "Sounds cool." And when he proceeded with working on his own EP, which is also called Kendrick Lamar, he asked himself, what's the musical approach? And he later understood that it's gotta be real. It's gotta be his story. It's gotta be some things that not only he feels, but everybody else can feel.
Put a lot of pain in the shit I write. If you're going through something, this is shit recite. This is bigger than life.
He decided to give a small piece of his backstory before the debut album, because Good Kid was already prepped. Yes, you heard it right. We're talking about Good Kid, m.A.A.d City. Kendrick had his first thoughts about creating this album back in 2005, and he knew that Good Kid, m.A.A.d City would be his first debut album in his career.
People know I can rap, but they ain't really like cater to me because they don't really know who I am yet. You know what I mean? Just a kid that can spit, you know what I mean? Like every other artist out here and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, in the Kendrick Lamar EP, he starts gradually introducing us to his story, where he poses various questions about how a good kid finds himself surrounded by a criminal environment and looking for love.
Searching for answers. The good kid from the ugly city that's mad that he's handsome. Where's the love?
And here, we do indeed hear some details from Kendrick about his life. In the P&P song, he talks about the death of his grandma and about his Uncle Tony, who was killed with 2 shots to the head at Louis Burgers.
Since my grandma's death, Uncle killed at Louis Burgers. Hold my tears, I try my best. Let it go, drench my pullover.
And in the Wanna Be Heard track, he talks about how he's an average good kid who wants to rap and has not interest in becoming a gangster.
I'm just a good kid from Compton that wanna rap. I don't represent no colors, I represent my little sisters and brothers.
Further, in this EP, Kendrick describes stories of faith and opinions on the struggle people go through with keeping said faith through trying times, as well as battling temptation. We won't fixate on this release for too long, and we'll move on, but I do recommend each person listens to this work.
I want to say I appreciate y'all, man, for even just taking the time out to go to your computers and support good music, man.
I found myself losing focus at a Sunday service. Embarrassed, so I start questioning God, what is my purpose?
In April of 2010, The Heart Part 1 was released.
The Heart is a series of one-off releases in which Kendrick Lamar bears his soul in a seemingly endless string of bars that give insights into his life, as well as his mission to attain immortality within hip-hop culture. Here, he recounts an interesting situation that occurred in his life.
J. Cole running late, if he don't show up, think I can take his place? Ladies start laughing, no pun intended, I ain't being sarcastic.
And now, in more detail. Here, Kendrick talks about how he showed up at the all-day shoot for the 2010 XXL freshman issue with J-Rock, who had secured a spot on the cover. J. Cole, who also appeared on the same cover, was over 8 hours late after he missed his flight from Miami to New York. Throughout the entire day, many wondered if Cole would show up at all. Sensing an opportunity, Kendrick offered to take Cole's spot when speaking to a number of XXL staff members. Those who heard Kendrick's comments believed he was speaking in jest, but he was dead serious. Cole eventually arrived toward the end of the shoot day and made the cover. While Kendrick didn't make the freshman cover that year, he was voted unanimously by the XXL staff to appear on the cover the very next year. This was also the first time Cole and Kendrick ever met. And if Kendrick would have not been given the chance to compete with the XXL members, he simply would have decided to do it on his own. Many of you know the track Control, where Kendrick takes a jab at rappers, that he will destroy them and so on and so forth. But few know about Monster Freestyle, which was released in September of 2010. In it, Kendrick did what he later repeated in Control. He proclaimed himself as the best rapper in the industry, and also claimed that it's time for Jay-Z to retire. Wayne should swallow his pride and that he's going after Kanye, Lupe Fiasco, Nas, Snoop Dogg, Andre, Eminem, and Busta Rhymes.
The industry is so now everybody think everything is a diss. When I say that, when I say swallow the Wayne, swallow your pride, I'm coming after Jay, coming after Nas, it's about me being competitive in this motherfucker. I felt like on the day when I stepped in this motherfucker rap game, I want to be the best.
However, a day before this freestyle came out, he released yet another mixtape by the name of Overly Dedicated.
Occupy my time with riches, justify my time ambition, just to go inside, but we had the life while we live.
In Interlude ROTC, 11 days prior to his birthday, Kendrick reflects on whether or not he can throw this whole rap thing away and begin selling illegal substances.
Sometimes I want to say rapping, I need money now, like should I start trapping?
But thankfully, he didn't abandon music, because there's a song on this album called Ignorance is Bliss, which changed Kendrick's life exponentially to before and after this song.
I don't have conscience, I just load up and start dumping. No enemies, I'm headhunting, no sympathy, ain't no love.
The whole thing is that Eminem's manager, Paul Rosenberg, called Dr. Dre to get him to take a look at the music video of this track. Besides the tracks themselves, Dre also watched a few of his interviews, and he understood that he not only enjoys his music, but his personality as well. After that, the producer wanted to get to know him. Dre called Kendrick. Kendrick picked up the phone and heard, "Hey, it's Dre." Kendrick thought that this was some kind of a prank and hung up the phone. But he later understood that it's not a joke, and they met up. In an interview, Lamar recounted how that went.
It was tough. It came to a point where I had to really snap out of fan mode and become professional. Because after we introduced, and he said he liked my music and I'm a fan of his work, he said, okay, now, boom, right to this.
This mixtape truly helped him realize that this was not all in vain. And already in 2011, he finally showed up on XXL Freshman.
Bad dad kids with bad dads, cops with bad badges, big bullets, no my bads. Once them guns shoot you.
The next major event in 2011 was the release of Section 80. Although the project was marketed and distributed like a solo album, Lamar had consistently referred to it as a mixtape. The title Section 80 is a combination of Section 8 housing and the decade that Kendrick was born in. The subject matter ranges from black people's strife due to the missteps of the Reagan administration, women's issues, drug abuse, and conspiracy theories about the government. All of this without sacrificing precise, agile lyricism.
Basically want to focus it around my generation. That's the hint I can give for the concept. And yeah, that's it, man.
Got a high tolerance when your age don't exist, like whoa, whoa.
In the opening song, Kendrick launches right into the story of Keisha and Tammy in the loose concept album Section 80. He uses these two characters to explore issues facing those born in the 1980s, touching on topics such as the Ronald Reagan government, sexuality, and drugs. Your Ethnicity is his exploration of racial issues. Kendrick has said that he notices his fans are of all races and backgrounds. He welcomes anyone that can relate to him and understand his story, regardless of color. Next up is the heartbreaking Keisha's song. Kendrick recorded this song for his little sister, instructing her through a narrative tragedy to never become a prostitute. He is not demonizing prostitutes, he's merely pointing out that it is a profession that damages people.
Since 11, I looked her right in the face the day that I wrote this song, set her down and pressed play.
Keisha's song.
Yeah.
Who's that about?
Keisha's song. A particular girl in Compton on a street called Long Beach Boulevard.
Okay.
I went to school with her. This strip is like basically known. It's right by Compton swap meets.
Okay.
And this was one particular girl I went to school with, and I seen her out there doing what she was doing.
Wow.
And I didn't even know it was her.
Wow.
Yep.
When it wrote it.
Yeah, I seen her, and then I went and wrote it. You know, I think she heard it too.
Is that, and her name's Keisha?
Yeah.
As you already know, Kendrick is a fan of Tupac. And Pac has a song called Brenda's Got a Baby, where he introduced listeners to Brenda, a young woman whose life is devoid of hope, highlighting social problems, assault, teen pregnancies, prostitution, and drug abuse. Brenda's story hit close to home for every woman in the ghetto who faced such adversities. As it happens, Keisha's favorite rapper was Tupac Shakur, and her favorite track was Brenda's Got a Baby.
She didn't realize how much the little baby had her eyes. Now the baby's in the trash, he ballin'.
And the album ends with the high power track. According to Kendrick's own words, it's about that no matter what the world is going through, you're always going to keep your dignity and carry yourself with this manner that it doesn't faze you, whatever negativity you think is in your life.
Just call this shit high power. Nigga, nothing less than high power.
In 2012, Kendrick Lamar signed a contract with m.A.A.d Entertainment. And by the way, in this first meeting, they recorded the song The Recipe, which was released before the next album, which we will talk more about.
They come from all around the world.
On the 20th of October of that same year, he released The Heart Part 3, Will You Let It Die? There's mention of great pressure, struggles, ambition, Shireen's fate, Good Kid, Mad City, leaking, and much more.
Truthfully, I just started rapping to get away. I never thought that your favorite rapper would want a verse.
And on the 22nd, the long-awaited Good Kid, Mad City was released, which he'd worked on for many years and had rewritten 3 to 4 times. Dre did not produce the album. However, he helped Kendrick by advising him on how to significantly better create a record.
No, he didn't do nothing.
He didn't do anything. He didn't do
Not one beat?
He didn't do swimming pools.
He said keep your same producers. And
Let me just.
Yeah.
The album cover is a Polaroid picture with his 2 uncles and grandpa, and on the wall hangs a picture of Kendrick with his dad.
I always had this premeditated that it was gonna be my album cover for years. I always knew it, because it represents so much, not only the household I grew up in, but just a lot of people's lives that just came up, in the ghetto and in urban neighborhoods.
A large portion of the album is dedicated to events that happened to Kendrick throughout his childhood. He describes his experiences, such as partaking in street clashes and troubles with the law.
Damn, I feel amazing. Damn, I'm in the matrix. My mind is living on cloud 9 and this 9 is never on vacation.
And then, with each next track, Kendrick understands that this is not the life that he wants. After all, not so long ago, he was a good kid, and now he's leading a life of crime. The plot revolves around a situation with a girl called Shireen, whom Kendrick knew for a few months. And when they had agreed on another date, it all ended with 2 guys in black hoods attacking K-Dot.
Step on my neck and get blood on your Nike checks. I don't mind, cause one day you respect the Good Kid, Mad City.
Kendrick's friends wanted to get revenge against the attackers. They also wanted to kill Shireen. However, not everything went according to plan, and by the end of the swimming pools track, we hear a skit where, after the shooting, one of Kendrick's friends, whose name is Dave, was killed.
You're my brother.
And already, in the next track called Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, Kendrick reassesses all of this shit. Dave's brother wants to get revenge, but Kendrick says that he's tired of all of this because he understands that it's a vicious cycle.
Tired of running, tired of hunting, my own kind, but retiring nothing.
The song ends with an old woman leading him and his friends to prayer.
I come to you a sinner, and I humbly repent for my sins. I believe that Jesus is Lord.
Well, and in the song Real, there is already an awareness from the side of our protagonist that he needs to be his authentic self. And he poses one question which everyone can ask themselves.
What love got to do with it when you don't love yourself?
Kendrick commented on these lines, saying the following: I was just caught in the same cycle that everybody else was following, everybody else was in. So how can I really have love for my partner next to me if I don't know who I am? How can I have love for my city if I don't know who I am? Me having love for them is making the right decision for them and making the right decisions for these kids out here. And I wasn't doing that, you feel me? So it was me having to find myself. And that is what the whole thing represented.
It ain't classic yet.
You haven't even heard it.
You gotta be at least 10 years.
You gotta give.
Well, Kendrick, it's been 10 years and we can safely say that Good Kid, M.A.A.d City has been a classic. This album has continued to show up in the Billboard 200 for the past 12 years. It is the first hip-hop studio album to achieve this feat.
I think when people hear the album and they really listen to what he's saying, they'll understand that this dude's really a different type of artist, you know what I mean? He's a different type of person.
Further, 2 days later, a collab track was released with A$AP Rocky, Drake, and 2 Chainz by the name of Problems, which became a hit. This was a wonderful autumn season for the protagonist of our video.
Kill 'em all, dead bodies in the hallway. Don't get involved, listen what the crystal ball say.
And in 2013, in the track called Control, he says that he's going to kill these rappers.
Drake, Big Sean, J Electron, Tyler McMillan. I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas.
I think what happened was people forgot that. So when you hear something like Control come from Kendrick Lamar, it's a reminder that, you know, I grew up off gangster rap and that aggression will always be in me.
Many of these rappers that he'd mentioned in the verse reacted calmly to this. But unfortunately, there came one person who was offended and said that he will no longer work with him. Yes, you, of course, already understood who I'm talking about.
You know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then, but it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks.
As we said earlier when we discussed Monster Freestyle, that for Kendrick, this is just competition. But it seems that Drake did not understand that and took it way too personally.
I'm not really like into doing like a record with him, no.
So you ain't Kendrick, you will sleep tonight. Not together.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That's what I always say.
When I went in and did the verse, I thought I was just having fun. and you know, these cats I know, and I'm, you know, calling out there, we having fun.
Right. These are my comrades.
Yeah, so.
There were other responses directed at Kendrick from some rappers such as Joey Badass and Joe Budden. Diddy also posted a picture featuring him and Jay-Z laughing with the caption, "And then Kendrick Lamar said, 'I'm king of New York.'"
What do you think about that Instagram post they did of you?
That's a big homie. Everybody else gotta try harder though.
Ain't nothing been the same since they dropped Control and tucked the sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Ha ha.
He then released a few singles from his next album. One of them was King Kunta.
Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off.
A good friend of mine say, you was one of them kids looking at Pac when he was up here doing it. Now they looking at you, and it blew me away. Tripped me out. 15 years later, man, I'm doing that same thing Pac was doing.
Fans were not surprised that here, Kendrick sounds totally different.
I don't like people to expect nothing though when I'm in a creative space. You dig what I'm saying? And I don't like to stay stagnant.
And I knew from the jump that there was going to be a challenge, you know, from my listeners' ear. But if I'm challenging myself in the studio, I want to challenge you as well. So,
on the 15th of March, 2015, To Pimp a Butterfly was released.
It represents using my celebrity for good. Another reason is not being pimped by the industry.
This record truly does sound differently when compared to the likes of Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. And if that album recounted the story of a youngster struggling with Compton and only that, then in this album, the youngster has grown up, has escaped the ghetto, and has become famous. Now this artist is fighting with the entire country of the deep-rooted system that it is based on. Fame and fortune did not bring him liberation and peace, which he was hoping to achieve having escaped from poverty. With the rise in popularity, he had more responsibilities. While King Kunta shows Lamar at a high, confidently claiming his throne atop the rap game with the influence and success he has acquired, institutionalized is the dramatic realization that the murky past of this mad city still lurks within Lamar's psyche.
Shit don't change until you get up and wash your ass.
The album's central symbol is a butterfly, which embodies Kendrick's personal spiritual growth and his perseverance in an industry that wants to manipulate him and profit off of him. At the beginning, Kendrick was a caterpillar, and he was nourished by the values of his environment. However, after he became a butterfly, another battle began, a battle for his authenticity. Here there is no clear plot. However, there is a path. I would call this a spiritual ascending of a staircase that Kendrick often slips down on, stumbling along the way. And although m.A.A.d took the spiritual path at the end of his last album, he still, nevertheless, gives in to temptations, which have become significantly more tempting due to his popularity. One of these examples is the song These Walls. It talks about the revenge against his friend Dave's killer. Thanks to his fame, it wasn't too hard for him to sleep with the killer's girlfriend while he serves a life sentence. If, in Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, Kendrick thought that money will save him from being empty inside, then here, he understands that this emptiness hasn't gone anywhere. Many think that money leads you down the road of happiness, but this means they are led down the path of consumption, which is what the government wants. In this album, we meet Uncle Sam, who encourages Kendrick to waste more and more money, all while Lucifer wants to seize his soul. In the end, it is basically one and the same. This destructive anger, which damages the soul and distances people from their primitive void.
What you want, you a house, you a car, 40 acres and a mule, a piano, a guitar, anything. Say my name is Uncle Sam.
One of the most depressing songs of this album is called You. It was very hard for Kendrick to write this song. Here, he peers deep into the dark caverns of his heart to expose the negative thoughts that plague his mind. At point, referring to himself as a fucking failure. Remember, we spoke about his 11-year-old sister in the track Keisha's song? Well, here, Kendrick questions where he was able to impact her and about all that he has said since she got pregnant at the age of 13.
Situation I start with your little sister baking. A baby aside, just a teenager, where your patience?
And in the second verse, he blames himself for not going to the hospital to check on his friend Chad Keaton, who died from complications about a month after a drive-by shooting. He feels like even God couldn't forgive him for what he's done, being too preoccupied with his career to be able to visit Chad before he passed. After that, he decided to self-reflect, because living life in the pursuit of fame has left him depressed. He went to South Africa, and when he saw how people could be happy living a life of poverty, he realized that he was living an illusion, and told himself that, in any case, everything will be all right.
Be all right. Nigga, we gon' be all right. Nigga, we gon' be all.
In fact, the album ends with the track I. This is the most positive track on the album, where Kendrick says that he accepts himself the way he is, and that he now likes himself, and that after this acceptance, You has changed into I. If You was psychologically difficult to write, then I is the best song he's ever written, because he never thought he'd be in the mindset to make a positive song, having grown up around so much negativity in Compton.
I love myself. The world is a ghetto, big guns and dicky signs. I love myself.
And the album's outro is called Mortal Men, in which he allegedly communicates with Tupac, as the topics addressed in this album were inspired by the creative work of the legendary rapper. And the name of the album was originally called To Pimp a Caterpillar, 2PAC.
Although the butterfly and caterpillar are completely different, they are one and the same.
After this album, Kendrick was starting to get referred to as the voice of the generation.
But for the generation at the time being, I hold myself responsibility to that because I gotta see these kids every day. And like I said on they gotta have slit wrists and come to me saying they say my music saved their lives and things like that.
In 2017, Kendrick released The Heart Part 4. In it, he floats across 4 distinct beat changes, describing his industrious lifestyle while challenging his contemporaries, and announcing that on April 7th, an album will be released. And, well, I want to point out here that he took a jab at Big Sean. But I wanted to direct your attention at Drake, who had it worse. Drake often mentioned Jay-Z in a negative connotation. So Kendrick rose in his defense.
Hall of Fame, like I'm shirt off, like I'm shirt off, like I'm shirt off, shorty.
Ho Jay-Z, Hall of Fame, sit your punk ass down. So that means you ain't bigger than rapping.
Humble was released on the 30th of March and was in response to all of the critics who said that he was too artistic, too social, and does not sound modern. And what did Kendrick do? He simply took a trap beat with which he practically had never worked with before and showed that he could do what the majority of modern rappers can do, and even better. In the end, the track became one of the main ones of the year 2017.
Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
And on the 7th of April, the album Damn was released, which became Kendrick's favorite from his discography. The majority of the tracks consisted of particular feelings. After writing the songs, he thought about which feelings the songs could be named after. This is why this album contains songs such as love, pride, loyalty, and so on.
Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
However, is there a plot in this album? Of course there is. This is Kendrick after all. Here, it can't all be so simple. Even despite the fact that this album's plot is not as serious as plots in his other albums, the album begins with the question, is it wickedness or is it weakness? And further, he recounts the story of how he met a blind woman who told him that he lost his life and shots were fired.
You've lost your life.
The blind woman can be thought of as representing consequences of the damnation referenced in the book of Deuteronomy. The duality of obeying God and being blessed, or disobeying Him and being damned, giving into wickedness or admitting your weaknesses.
The beginning with blood, in the beginning with blood, is that the beginning or the end of the album? Because the end of Duckworth confuses me.
You know I can't tell you that.
Why can't you tell me?
Because it's for the listeners.
I need to know.
I can't. I'll be giving away for the whole world.
Get him out of here.
Get him out. You don't want to tell us nothing.
In an interview here, they talk about his latest song, Duckworth. It includes a real story because Top Dawg could have really killed Ducky. Ducky is Kendrick's dad's nickname. Top Dawg frequented the KFC where Ducky worked. This is the same KFC that Top Dawg and his cohorts had stuck up a few years prior, where he robbed the manager and a customer was shot. Ducky found out about this and made sure he stood on Top Dawg's good side, giving him free chicken, extra biscuits, etc. When Top Dawg did eventually hold up the restaurant again, he and his cohorts made sure not to hurt Ducky. If it weren't for this decision, Kendrick would have never met Anthony and gotten signed to his label. And therefore, his music career may have never taken off. So in this situation, the curse of wickedness was broken.
If Anthony killed Ducky, Top Dawg could be serving life while I grow up without a father and die in a gunfight.
A year after Kendrick signed a contract with Dawg Entertainment, Ducky came to the studio, and they were shocked to see one another.
They flipped.
I mean, flipped.
Yeah, still to this day.
And Top flipped as well? Top recognized straight away?
Oh yeah, still to this day. They laugh, and they laugh, and they trip out, and they tell the same story over and over to each other.
So if you listen to the album backwards, Top Dawg kills Ducky, Kendrick, who is growing up without his father, chooses a path of damnation, and, in the end, he dies in that very song, Blood, because of wickedness. However, if you would listen to the album with blood, then the shooting might signify that he lost his way. However, because he chooses weakness, then he has a path of salvation. Briefly speaking, this album is about the rapper's internal changes.
To Pimp a Butterfly would be the idea of the thought of changing the world, how we work and how we approach things. Down will be the idea of I can't change the world until I change myself.
Later, Kendrick participated in the development of soundtracks for the movie The Black Panther, and in 2018 a compilation was released, which Dawg Entertainment was responsible for. After this, he went silent for 3 years. A couple of more singles were released, but his absence was truly noticed. The epic return occurred with the track Family Ties. We hadn't heard such anger from K.Dot in a long while.
Smoking on top fives. Motherfuck that album, fuck that single, burn that hard drive.
In 2022, Kendrick performed at the Super Bowl halftime show with the legends Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent. Even though these artists are from a different generation, this did not stop Dre from choosing Lamar in particular, and this speaks for itself.
When I wake up, I recognize you looking at me for the pay stub, but I'm looking at you from the face down.
Man, Kendrick is one of those artists that we call forever artists.
Okay.
He could disappear for 5 years or something like that and come back and fuck my heads up.
And already on the 8th of May of that same year, he released The Heart Part 5. And this means that an album is on the way. Once again, Kendrick challenges us to appraise our collective moral compass.
I come from a generation of pain will murder his minor, rebellious and more jealous, a chip you for designer.
And, well, 5 days later, the Mr. Morale and Big Steppers album was released. It became Kendrick's most difficult album to write, since he talks about his mental health problems in it. For example, in the Father Time track, Whitney Alford, Kendrick's wife, says that it's time for him to see a therapist, and he responds saying that a real man don't do such bullshit, as this is for the weak. So this is why here Kendrick is discussing toxic masculinity that is passed on from generation to generation, sometimes actively by a father who is present, and other times through the absence of a father figure.
Daddy issues hit my emotions, never express myself. Man should never show feelings, being sensitive never helped.
Or, for example, in the Mother I Sober track. In it, Lamar opens up with heartfelt and personal lyrics, confronting his trauma head-on by describing his upbringing and the traumatic experiences that came with it. He details his mother's experience with sexual abuse and her fear that Lamar might experience assault as well. Later on, Lamar asserts that he was never subject to drug addiction, but rather lust. Lamar then feels a sense of despair and hopelessness as he opens up about cheating on Whitney. And in the end, when Kendrick has done the necessary work to address these issues, Whitney says that he has broken a generational curse. In the Bible, generational curses happen when someone's sins cause negative consequences for future generations.
I'm proud of you. You broke a generational curse.
And the album ends with the notion to stop blaming and criticizing others, and that it is worth focusing inwards on your own self. Also, Kendrick is asking society, hip-hop culture, and his fans to stop depending on him to change the world. He is only one man that has his own responsibilities. It's up to every individual to contribute through voting, educating, teaching, and it's not up to Kendrick to save us.
I choose me, I'm sorry. I choose me, I'm sorry.
Kendrick went quiet once again and delighted his fans just once in 2023 by releasing a collab with Baby Keem.
We gon' fuck up the world, excuse me, but it's that your girl. Didn't mean to possess your girl.
Generally speaking, throughout several years, J. Cole and K.Dot should have recorded a collab album, but that never happened. This year, fans are posing a different question. Will they ever reconcile? It all began when Cole recorded a track with Drake by the name of First Person Shooter.
Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started a league.
And then this happened.
What the fuck the big three? Nigga, it's just big me, nigga, bum!
This verse shook up the entire hip-hop scene. J. Cole recorded a response, after which he apologized.
Y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
However, Drake didn't let go so easily.
See, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something?
With some bodyguards like Whitney, top
say drop your little midget ass better.
Don't speak on the family, Crody. You can get deep in the family, Crody. Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone go bleed in your family.
I won't dwell on this topic too much in this video, as this is a whole other topic. But if you're interested, then let's get it up to 10,000 likes on this video, and I'll make a documentary about it. And while we're at it, let's pause on one interesting moment in which Kendrick cunningly outsmarted Drake. So, Drake dropped Family Matters, a 7-minute diss track with a good music video.
Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go hand him a Grammy right now.
Kendrick, what? Kendrick, drop your lying. You're lying, bro. You're a cap. What? What are you saying to me? What?
Kendrick dropped immediately? No way. No way.
But literally 20 minutes later, K-Dot released Meet the Grams, where he addresses Drizzy's parents, saying that they raised a horrible person.
Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die.
Are y'all trolling me? Kendrick did not drop, bro. Not again, bro. Oh, again?
And in the following day, he released Not Like Us, where we see Drake's home on the cover. The red markers across the mansion appear to resemble those found on maps marking the homes of registered sex offenders. With the markers, Kendrick appears to be labeling both Drake and those close to him as sexual predators.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
This song smashed all the records possible. In 35 days, it got 300 million streams on Spotify, actually beating Drizzy's record, as he got the same number of streams for his song God's Plan in 42 days. And let's not forget about the Pop-Out show in Los Angeles, where he performed Not Like Us 6 times. He also invited all of his friends. In particular, Dr. Dre himself showed up, who said the following phrase.
I see people.
Top of the morning, Big Snoop Dogg coming at you live from Canada. Sending a big shout out to K-Dot and all the homies from the West that stood together, unified, organized, in peace, love. That was beautiful. That was fun to watch. Beautiful to see all of my peoples coming together. And K-Dot, you are the king of the West. That's the kind of shit things do. We unite.
I don't give a fuck about a dollar, obviously, because I feel my art and my music will take me higher than that, you know what I mean, than the money. Everything will fall in after they believe.
The next video I recommend you watch is a documentary film about 21 Savage. We won't be saying goodbye for long,